Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast, Theatre of Joy. Today we have with us Pooja Trehan. She is an advertising professional. She's internationally acclaimed and has a lot of awards and accolades to her credit. She also does a lot of interesting things and is now heading her own advertising agency. So, Pooja, welcome.
Thank you, Manumasi. That's a very nice introduction, and it's an honor to be sitting next to you and chatting. So, really looking forward to
Aw.
this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I remember this conversation we had before, and there were so many interesting things, so
Right,
many interesting connections between theatre and advertising.
right, right.
And but you should tell everyone in your own words.
Yeah, yeah. So interestingly, theatre and advertising is very, very interlinked. And if you look at it, if you delve deep, we build brands based on archetypes, which is also one of the bases for theatre. So archetypes is when we are, sort of creating the positioning or the brand strategy for a brand. So we peg them on an archetype, and then from there we develop everything. And well, what is whatever is consumer facing, which is what I mean is like digital videos or the TV ads, they are all theatrics that we that a brand puts up to attract customers, you can say, or to build on a serious note, to build their brand positioning, and to build the space that they want in a consumer's mind for that brand and that attachment for the brand. But yeah, theater, without theater, advertising will not be as strong. So all the ads, everything is theatrics.
So, tell us more about archetypes and how you use them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting actually. What we do is, so when we are building, so whatever we is consumer facing before that, like the what if you see an ad, whether it's a print ad or a TV ad, so behind that there's a lot of work which goes in. So what we do is we build the brand strategy and we create a positioning for a brand. So we that positioning is pegged on an archetype. So for example, if it is let's take a common example like Dabur, for example. So Dabur is an old brand and it's always stood for even the logo had a sage in it some years back. So it's always stood for the the sage, the wisdom, the all-knowing,
The sadhu.
the sadhu, right? Yeah. So it's coming from that archetype, and then so whatever communication comes from it, it's comes from that wisdom, that knowledge. It's like that sort of a persona the brand has. So yeah, so that's how then we and definitely when you whatever is consumer facing is the theatrics of the brand, and where the archetypes started. I feel that it started with the Greek tragedies when they, sort of looked at all the stories that were happening and, clubbed them into formats or into a pattern that was observed. Like, there were the underdogs, there, the typical, the universal truths that things are pegged on, and theater uses that a lot. So that, and then in 1919, I think Carl Jung did develop the archetypes, and we use that, like I shared, we use that very, very extensively, and it becomes so much. It aids the brand so much that it becomes clear as to what we are going to be received and perceived in the consumer's mind as, and we, work accordingly. So every touch point, everything that you're doing, from the logo, from the colors of the brand, everything captures that and works towards establishing that in the consumer's
Oh
mind.
wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so, are you also involved in the shooting of the videos and?
Yes, yes, Mansi. So okay, so I'll just tell you a little bit about all that we do in advertising.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Give
yeah.
us an inside peek.
Yeah, yeah. So when you, let's say you come to me with a brand, so what we first do is the market research, as in we figure out that in this category, what all is happening and what are the global trends, where is that that particular industry going to, how the industry will change. There's a lot of change now happening in every industry because of AI. There's so much change happening all around us. So how will that industry shape up? We try to gauge by research and by data as to what all will happen. What are the trends? What are the things that are there existing in the industry, in that particular industry, and where is it that there are need gaps, right? So if a brand can fit into those need gaps and hence become important to a consumer, right? So that is the first step, is market research. From there we build we build the brand strategy as to how, again, this is where the archetypes and all come in. How will a brand talk? What should a brand stand for? What is the personality of a brand? What archetype will the brand associate itself with? So from there, this is, I'm telling you in a very very brief fashion.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
a lot more
sure.
which goes
I'm
into
sure there's a
it.
lot more which goes
Lot
in.
more that goes into it. And then from there comes the creative part, which is, so if this is the brand positioning, then how is it that we are going to showcase that to what is going to be consumer facing? So if this is a brand positioning, how will the brand talk to a consumer? How can we, make our way into their lives and their minds, so that every time they look at our brand or look at anything done by a creative done by that brand, or anywhere the brand comes into their lives, they associate it with that archetype or that positioning that we built for the brand. So that's how and obviously the output, so as to say, is the creative product. So which is where I that's my field. But yeah, with so many years of experience, all brand strategy and all this also sort of get you learn while working on all the brands. And I was very fortunate to learn from the very best in the industry. I was fortunate enough to work in Ogilvy, and I had really, really great people around me all the time throughout my career. So very, very grateful for that. And then so then when it comes to the creative, so then it becomes like now it is digital videos or TV ads or whatever. So there, so we think of to answer your question, I know it's become a long answer, but so that is where we then, we look at we build a little, in theater language, I can say we build a little skit around what is it that we want the consumer to feel and think. And that little skit is our TV ad or the digital video. So we write out the script, and then we collaborate with production houses, with good directors, and then we see how we can improve, and how we can sharpen the thought and make it look something that entertains, and also, like I was saying, establish that brand positioning for the brand. And so that's what we do. So we do the scripting, the ideation, and then we collaborate with a film production house to shoot the thing. We are there throughout, and so is the client. We like, let's say, the main casting and all is approved in conjunction with the client and production house and the creative team. So we all collaborate. That's how we go about
Like
it.
we do in theater.
Like we do in theater. So we some of in fact, a lot of creative directors have gone into film production later. They've become directors because film directors, because it just comes very easy to us because you've been doing that. Yeah. So that is the film part. When it comes to print, since I've got an art background, I'm a designer. So when it comes to the other part, like whether it's the logo or the print ad or posters or or various other things, like the brochure or whatever, things like that.
I'd like to say here that Pooja Trehan has designed the logo of Theatre of Joy.
Yeah, that was quite joyful.
Very interesting design that is.
Yeah, that was, so let's use that example. I'll just tell you. So what I felt was that your theater is not boxed in, right? So that led me to, so one thing I was very clear, that there's not going to be a box. The logo will not, the form will never be boxed in. It'll have to be an open form. So which is why the text is moved a little out, and the iconic representation of theater that I've used, that is also not boxed in, it's a little open, because your form of theater is very open and very improvised and very involving. And the other thing that I felt that I should definitely capture is joy. And so the joy, the play, till the time there isn't any play, and theater and play are like synonyms. So there has to be some play. So that's how I came up with the I, the I, ever changing I, the
Yes.
fun and the play with the I. So that's, yeah, it was a delightful project to work on. And thank you for that. I really enjoyed creating that.
Thinking about what you were telling us earlier, I remember the Facebook ad. He's always on Facebook. You
Yeah,
remember that
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
That was all theater.
Correct.
The way
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
and film, of course.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of theater in advertising. There's a lot of theater. Even I mean, this is what we're talking about is the finished product. Even sometimes when we know as creators that this idea is going to be the right solution for the marketing problem that we are solving, sometimes because we come from a creative background, for us it is very easy to visualize, right? And if I describe it to you, you will be able to visualize. But not everybody comes with that sort of skill set. And we deal with people from marketing and sales and all. So sometimes they can't visualize. So we have to do theatrics
To
so
pitch your.
to pitch our ideas. So very uptight boardrooms, and so we go in. The creative people go in and do their film presentation, and sometimes you really have to sort of, you know, you literally there performing theater in the conference room. Trying to tell the marketing heads that this is what is required for the brand. So yeah,
Yes, yes.
without theater, advertising can't exist actually.
That's true. I know. And a person like you, you're not just, let's say, an advertising person. You have your roots in so many things, in art, in design, and also in your ideology. Must be filtering in somewhere or the other, wherever you can push it in, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some very interesting ads which actually can change people's thinking and their lives. Not all ads are like that, but it's a possibility. And so, tell us if you've come across anything in your career that you could push your ideology through.
Yeah, no, on ideology, Mazi, since we are creative people, every time we create something, there is a bit of ourselves that we put out there,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, so, and on that, like, being born and brought up in Chandigarh, most of like not born, but brought up in Chandigarh, I think Corbusier has influenced a lot of lot of my design.
The
So
space, the
the space, the looking at
openness.
space, the geometry, the
Yes.
balance. So I think he's influenced all of us. Everybody who comes from Chandigarh has a bit of Corbusier design sensibility in them. So yeah, so sometimes I like when I look at some work that I've done some years back, and then I see, I was like, oh my God, this would be so Corbusier, like the kind of layout I have done, the kind of formatting. So he's a poet of right angles.
Ah,
So there's
yes.
so much of balance and so many interesting things that he does. And yeah, I from that I could say that keeping things simple and focusing on what is core. So for me, अगर idea नहीं है तो it doesn't work for me. I can't just do design for the sake of design. It has to have an idea and has to be solving something. That is what a good design is. It has to be solving something. So yeah, that way I've yes, definitely you can't but help showcase some part of yourself in any work that you do, anything that you create. And advertising is like one example, although I did not work on it, but I hold one of the creators in very high regard, Ajay Gehlot. He worked on this campaign for polio. So Do Boon Zindagi Ki, that is one of the most successful campaigns of India, and we eradicated polio. So that is how advertising can create and create so much of difference. And what in the last few years, like you can we can say roughly what we've seen, the way women are portrayed in advertising,
Yes, it's
it has
different.
changed drastically.
Yes,
And it is leading to a better a better mindset.
Yes.
Women are freer now.
And it's all because of the young people in advertising
Yeah,
nowadays.
the
Who are
representation.
not afraid of bringing a bit of themselves into their
Yes,
campaigns.
absolutely. And these are, there's a lot of things that we do in advertising which subconsciously starts getting into your life, right? It becomes a part of your life. So these subconscious hints of whenever you show a mother, she is not going to be dressed in a sari or an Indian wear all the time. She is now a modern woman, she will have her hair short. So those things slowly started happening.
Yes.
Like, if you think back to advertising of many years when little girl danced and, took a bath in that waterfall, that was so liberating for
I know.
everybody.
I
But
remember that ad
yeah,
when I was
everybody
growing.
remembers
Yeah.
it. Correct. So it was so iconic. And that slowly that process is happening of, over the years of how women are seen in advertising, women are portrayed in advertising. That has changed so much. And so many other mindsets. Even this entire thing of, like, I remember this ad which where the help was invited to have dinner on the dining table. Now that led to so much change in the in the way people approached the help
I mean, yeah.
in the house. So advertising is been influencing a lot of changes.
So this
all
is
around.
playing with the archetypes.
Yes, yes. This is creating change and playing with the archetypes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And you studied in the art college, Chandigarh.
Yes, yeah. That's a very fond place. Every time I come to Chandigarh, I go and visit it. Even now, it was so, again, Corbusier designed our college, so beautiful college and beautiful experience. Although, like, I think how things go in life, I majored in photography and printmaking. So yeah, so my subject were graphics, and I was not interested in advertising at all. But again, the journey is defined in a certain way. After I finished college, I got a bit of taste of what advertising is all about. And I was like, oh my God, this is all about ideas and problem solving. This is just up my alley. And I slowly got hooked, and I'm totally in love. I'm
And
loving it even now.
Yeah, you seem to have a lot of joy in what you do.
Yeah. For me, if I don't create, there is no joy. So, and advertising gives me that outlet. Design gives me that outlet to create. If I'm creating, I'm very happy. So, creation creates joy for me, and joy creates a happy puja.
And add to that that you can, you can be an agent of change in society.
Yeah, definitely.
That
Yeah,
must be a definite high.
Yes, definitely. And it's a it's a power that you have to use respectfully. So recently I got an opportunity to create. Yeah, so when you're just creating for joy, you're not bound to whether advertising or whatever. So recently I got an opportunity to do a wall mural, to paint a wall mural outside a women's police station in Gurgaon. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so I mean, what are the odds, right? And so I was like, I'm not going to just do some butterflies and some woman flying high and all that. There has to be more meaning to it, and there has to be something that will touch people, in a way that they realize that there's so much to a woman, right? So, and since the venue was a police station, so what I've depicted is there's a woman police officer, and I've shown her like Kali. So her tongue is sticking out. She's got the police officer's hat, and her uniform is there. But her tongue is sticking out, and her hair are all open and
Like
flowing
Kali.
in the flowing, yeah, like Kali. So yeah, that was one small piece where I could create that liberated thought that look, that's an all-powerful woman. She is like a police officer, but she is that all-powerful woman that Kali is depicted as. So yeah, that was quite a delightful experience.
A person like you is balancing many balls. Huh? One is advertising, which is like selling people, creating needs when they don't have to be any, right?
No,
One
we
is,
also inform. I want to interrupt you
no,
there.
no, no, that's what I'm saying. One is, you know, playing with social change and
Right.
information
Yeah.
and
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
part of the whole thing.
That part of advertising,
And
that's also.
also that there are people watching, which is what theatre is about. There has to be
Yes.
somebody watching,
Yeah.
and that's an important element.
Right. Right.
So you have to balance everything, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes,
Do
yes.
what
Yeah.
you really want to do, and then pitch to
Correct.
your bosses. But you're the boss now.
I'm the
That must
boss
be.
now. Yeah, but I was really, I mean, I was very lucky. I had some of the best bosses in the industry. So, one I've already named, and I was very, very lucky. I got to work with some of the best people in the industry, the best brands in the industry. I worked in Ogilvy for many, many years and Leo Burnett. So very, very fortunate that way. Very fortunate.
So tell us about some of your other campaigns, because people will relate to that. People listening will relate to that.
So there's a lot of work I've done actually in these 2 decades. Okay, I'll share one example with you. Although it is a political campaign, but this is not it's not about my political views or anything. But it was a big campaign. And recently, our branch at that time, she's also written a book about it. So Jayashree Sundar has written a book about the Congress campaign that we did in 2004. And so what we created, it was like magic. There was so much joy, and at that point, I was like some 5 to 6 years in the industry. So what we say in our advertising language, I was a bacha. So uh, I had no idea that what magnitude what was the magnitude of the campaign and of what we were creating. So unlike other brands, like when you're working on, let's say, Sprite, for example, that's another brand that I worked on, and I'm quite attached to the campaign I created. So you've got a specific target audience, specific people that you're talking to. There's an age group, there's a demographic, there's a psychographic that you're talking to. When we did the Congress campaign, entire India was our target audience. I mean, that is massive. Like, just to
The
think
south,
about
the
it,
north,
everything.
the
I mean, we are
northeast,
talking to
like
an
different
entire,
countries
yeah,
there, yeah.
we're talking to the whole country. And here, like, there's this one day when the poll results will be announced, and that's when the success or the failure of your work will be, you'll get to know.
No, does it all depend on advertising, I
Yeah,
guess, in
correct.
a
Yes, yeah.
election. But yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't all depend on advertising. But what we created with that, I would, if you get time, do read that book. What we created there was literally magic. Like, we actually got the clients to get confidence back in themselves, because that was not the air in that room when we, in the
2004, yeah.
2004, they didn't even have a clear leader who, if they win, because they had very lot of doubts themselves that whether they'll win it or not. So that campaign was like, I remember it very fondly. I literally was living in the office. I have not signed so many artworks in my, in, like, let's say 10 years that I signed in that one, couple of months. So that was one campaign that was really, really interesting, and learned a lot in that entire process. And so advertising in that campaign, like what you're saying, I just want to like talk about it a bit. So we created uh, that confidence with the client first, and then that confidence started percolating down to the entire country, and the results were obvious when Congress came into power. So yeah, so that was one interesting point in my career, so as to say. And the other campaign that I remember very fondly and I really enjoyed working on was Sprite. Again, I had a great team to work with on that. So Sprite, when the brief came to us, so Sprite is a clear drink. The archetype is a challenger, you know. So it's always been on the peripheries and always creating, disrupting and creating challenge. So since the drink is clear, so we thought of this, I came up with the line "Seedhi baat no bakwas," and the entire campaign flowed from that. So so it's basically a demonstration of the ads that we created. The TV ads is a demonstration of how straight talk will get you much further in life versus taking the teda rasta and trying to do this and that and getting to the point. So that was quite a delightful experience, and I really enjoyed creating that campaign. And I mean, so much so that the Sprite became the leader in Coke portfolio, which is very very rare because it was a smaller brand and it dethroned Thumbs Up and all of that. And they went on to sponsor IPL that year, and it became that big. Yeah, so they
Exciting times, huh?
yeah, and it was quite a nice experience. And Seedhi Baat, incidentally, I mean, in that time there was nothing called as going viral or whatever, but in all contexts the line went viral, and there were newspaper articles with headings of Seedhi Baat no bakwas, and there were TV shows with the line "Seedhi baat no bakwas." They were up that time, they weren't called memes, but now we call them
Ah.
memes. There were a lot of messages using "Seedhi baat no bakwas." So yeah, so that was fun creating that, and creating a line which became part of the normal lingo and becoming part of
Oh,
everybody's
wow.
life.
And
That
going
was
down
great.
in history. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when I was growing up with leftist thinking, advertising was the enemy because,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
but um, now that I'm more mellow and I can see, I have a larger view about things. And listening to you and talking to you the other day, uh, there is a lot of joy and creativity and fun
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and also the heady delight of
Correct.
changing the way
Yes.
people think in
Absolutely,
society.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So we inform in an entertaining way is what I feel. That's the way I feel. Like, that's what we do. We inform and create that what we want to create for our brand. We inform in the most entertaining and most relatable and delightful way.
Yeah, I don't know where or when I heard this, but a lot of people actually rush through TV programming and don't mind sitting and listening to the ads.
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, there some people enjoy that because advertising is so wonderful now. A lot of work and a lot of fun goes in it, and there's so many interesting young people who have taken that up as a career and who
Yes, yes.
can play
Yeah, there's a lot of
in
play in
that
advertising.
space. I'm sure it might, even get uh, we might get even more of wonderful advertising, uh, and which is better than TV programming.
Yeah, in fact, recently there is a. It's nice that you brought this up. Recently, got to know about, there was this ad that was done for Green Lamp Kit Ply. So they'd done this ad about how a kid who's he's remembering his past life, and he goes to that.
Yes, I
You
remember
remember
that
it was
ad.
very entertaining.
It is
Now
amazing.
they're turning it into a film.
They
There's a
are.
movie feature film being made on. So advertising influences and creates in its own way. This was unprecedented. All we wanted to do, all the creatives and the agency, I wasn't part of it. all they wanted to do was, talk about the green lamp laminate that it lasts so many
and
years. But what they've now ended up
it
creating
was
is
a very, very sweet ad.
yeah,
They
very sweet
used a
ad.
little Sadarji boy, I
Correct,
think, in
correct.
that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a little boy who goes about saying, goes to a South Indian household. So very interesting. And so advertising is unlike fine art. Advertising is a reflection of what is happening in society. But we can be the agent of change, as in we can lift it. So if like about women empowerment and women showcasing women in a different light. So there were those things happening. But what advertising did was, and what we were talking earlier, women, the way women are portrayed, so they just lifted that up and made it the norm. So hence creating that
And a
change.
lot more people watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you get more eyeballs than anything else.
Yeah, ads are they're short and they're entertaining. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it makes them so delightful. So yeah, that
Yes,
is
that
it.
was such a wonderful conversation. I have so many more questions. Maybe another time you'll come to the
Yes.
podcast.
Yes, sure, sure. I really enjoyed doing this. It's always great to chat with you. And
Such fun.
there's so much that I've learned from you actually.
Aw.
It's a delight always to meet you
And
and to
now
chat
I'm
with
learning from you. Thank you
you.
so much, Pooja. This
Thanks,
was
Mansi. Thank you.
delightful.
Thank you.
And we
Thank
should
you.
do this again.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I'm up for it.